Hello. So today we are going to be explaining exactly why you are so unhappy all the time and that you feel like you're only happy maybe 10% of the time. So imagine this is your life, right? There's different stages of ups and downs, and the reason why I think so many people are unhappy is because they tell themselves that it's only worth being happy for what happens here. There has to be a specific threshold for happiness. Maybe there's like a little happiness here, but it's like, oh, like I'm coming out of my slump, but then you go back down and you feel like shit. So to combat that, what do you think we can do to resolve this, right? Lower the threshold of happiness. And now you're happy. You went from going happy 10% of the time to being happy maybe like 70% of the time now, right? But how do you actually do that, right? And this is where this topic is something that people just brush over, and it's just like, if you learn this one mindset shift, you genuinely become so much more satisfied. Like, you don't even have to be happy, but you become so content and peaceful with yourself and with your life. And the key to that is gratitude. Gratitude is the key, because it's almost like you're lowering your threshold of happiness. Because if you're only thankful when you get that job promotion, you're only thankful when you achieve your dream body, what about the moments leading up to it? Are you not grateful for the chance for the fact that you have a job, for the fact that you're physically able to exercise every day and get your body moving? Because some people don't have the luxury of that. Some people don't have a house. Some people, there's a lot of misfortune but also so much fortune that is overlooked. But there's a lot of misfortune in the world that we don't always keep in mind, so we take what we have for granted because it's so easy to get used to things. That's why, when you buy a new computer, you're so happy, but once you get used to it, the feeling's gone. You can always think back to how happy you felt, and actually that's also a good point of if you really need, think back to how happy you were and how much you actually wanted something, and let that be a motivator for how you treat things moving forward. If you really wanted that job but now you hate the amount of work you have to do, think about how much you were trying to get to this point. And it's also you have to be conscious of what you're going to have to accept by receiving these things into your life. You have to be ready to face the consequences of getting what you want. And this is sort of also tying into something I learned in my psychology class. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So we got this little triangle here, right? First and foremost, the very basis of needs that everyone needs to get before it's basically, you can't put this on until you have this. you can't be happy with this without having this. That's what the theory and hierarchy of needs is. I'll write out his name if you want to go check out his theory or whatever. But basically the first thing is physiological needs. That's like your body. You need water, you need sleep, you need food. That's basically it. And it goes into shelter, you know, all the basic needs, security. And then above that, you need, I think it was like love or something. But the point in which people feel happiness, I feel like for like a truly sustained amount of time, is at the top of self-actualization, which is basically becoming the person that you want to be. And a lot of people, they're at the middle point. They are, you know, they're working on getting their physical needs, getting material things inside their life to show other people, because there's also acceptance that comes with like owning material things and physical goods. And it's for the social acceptance, it's for the reputation, it's for your ego essentially. And I feel like a lot of people are at this stage. And it's one of the issues I have with Maslow's theory is that you can be at like multiple stages. Like you can be at that, but also like you can lose these needs as well. So that's one thing you have to be careful for. But you really have to like work on your self-belief and know who you are and what you want. And this is like tying into your own uniqueness. When you're able to know who you are in separation from other people, then you're also able to have a sense of self-worth. But you still want to feel like you have something that contributes to the larger community, that makes you feel like you're needed, not just admired, you know? I guess people want to feel wanted, but they also need to feel needed, right? And so I have some notes down here, so that's why I'm looking down. But one thing that can really, really increase your self-belief is by keeping your promise to yourself. And this is just you becoming the person that you want to be, right? This can be through self-expression, and this goes in two ways. You have your personality, how you want others to view who you are as a person, your character, and then your appearance, which is basically all the physical goods, you know, like I have a Rolex, I have Chanel. Yeah, so like the physical material stuff. And I think both can be important, but the emotional and personality, I think, is definitely more important, because all the material goods are supplements, you know? They give you that quick hit of dopamine when you get it, when other people see you have it, you know? Like one of the things I remember seeing online was someone was asking, like, do you really want it, or do you want other people to see that you have it? And that was a game changer. My mind was blown. I was like, wait, why are they right? Why are they right? And one of the other ideas that I actually have my own experience from is basically, I think I projected my own desires from, actually, I don't know how to word this right, but basically, my own desires were projections of other people, if that makes sense. Like, I wanted recognition, basically. It's like the validation, academic validation, societal validation, I don't know. And so basically, you know, as I was growing up, this basically led me to seeing other people happy, other people congratulating them, being like, oh my god, like, you did so good, you're like amazing, blah blah. And I didn't care about what exactly they got, I don't think. Like, obviously, I'm down the path I am on because of that. But I think the real reason behind it was I saw their happiness. And I was like, oh, if I do that, I'll be happy too. And this is a crazy rabbit hole to go down in, because for me, if I saw someone who, you know, was better than me, I'd be like, oh, I have to become like them because I admire them. And if I admire them, I want to be someone that other people admire, so I should do what they do without understanding, like, what is it that I want to do, that I can make myself my own identity expression for. And so with the second half, there's self-expression. This is much harder to obtain, to get your self-belief in your self-expression, because this requires you to be your true self in front of people. And I'm not saying that you have to be the same exact person to everyone, because everyone's different and everyone brings out a different side of you. And it's also just hard because sometimes I know that for me, when I am interacting with someone, I'm not thinking, oh my gosh, I'm being fake, I'm not being my true self. I think it's my true self, and then I think back and I realize, like, wow, I was tailoring and altering every single word and micro expression on my face to make the other person feel comfortable, to make them think that I'm similar to them. And your brain is just constantly active, you know? If your brain is constantly active in this, it's also draining your energy and your peace. Like, I don't know what to say about this. And it's really hard because if you don't have people to practice who you really are with and talk about some of your vulnerabilities and, you know, feel like an actual person around someone, it's really hard to be happy. And, you know, sometimes if you don't have that person, then my best advice to you is to journal, because you can be that person for yourself, a safe space for yourself. But yeah, it's that feeling of like, if I didn't have what I have and I was just who I was, would people still like me for me? That's the kind of like question that you need to like ask and like see if you have the security around you. And I guess that's part of the hierarchy of needs, security, that you'll be accepted for who you are. And it's when you get that security, when you're able to find a way to feel secure in the type of person that you are, all of this sort of just ties into the overarching theme of being accepted and acceptance. And, you know, whether that be being accepted by other people or accepting yourself, like, that's basically what we're chasing after. And if you can show your self-acceptance, that is when you become happy. That is when you become happy. Because why are you chasing other people to give you acceptance, to make you happy, when you can give yourself acceptance to make you happy? But sometimes, I know, as someone who goes through it myself, I don't give myself acceptance. But to combat this, this is why you don't have to accept yourself for who you are right now, because, you know, you might not want to stay the person that you are, and that's completely fine. I'm not saying you have to accept your reality for what it is right now, because if you want to change it, the world is your oyster. But the most important idea that I want to like convey through this video is you have to work on accepting the fact that you are going to fail. You are going to try and change, and you're going to go back to your old ways, and you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. But guess what? Everyone fails. Mind-boggling, mind-blowing information. Did I just flabbergast you? I hope I did. But it's okay to want to change. It's okay to take your time to change. What's not okay is staying where you are when you don't think that's what's for you, you know? But who knows? I'm just a 19-year-old on the internet, right? But yeah, it's like all of this plays into like needing recognition from your parents, from your friends, from the admiration of people younger than you, and that can come from your own self-worth. It can affect your self-worth. It can come from also, you know, awards, titles. Like, this all comes from society, and the personal part of, you know, self-recognition and recognizing that you need change, that you're going through change, that's the most important part. And there's actually like 2 steps to the Maslow's hierarchy. There's like the bottom. There's definitely more tiers than this. You can go look at it yourself if you want to. But the bottom are all like more of the big needs, as you can see by the big base. These are the big needs: physical, psychological, love from parents, security, that people will accept you no matter what you do, and that they'll forgive you for making mistakes, because people are human and we have emotions and we make mistakes. And then once you cross that threshold, you begin moving into expression needs, you know, beauty, self-expression, whether that be tattoos, makeup, clothes, the way you dress every morning. And then, I actually don't remember, but I feel like it'd be a really good idea to have one about personality. But personality probably fits in like the psychological, where people accept you for who you are. And at the very tippy top, we got self-actualization, where you can work towards being who you want to be. I guess that's it, right? And like with my own personal journey, I feel like only recently I've gotten till here, because I didn't grow up with, I'm not a trust fund baby. I don't have money that I can just toss and buy things whenever I want. But my parents like worked really hard to save and, just like try their best for me and my brother. And they do their best to support me in things that obviously fit in my needs, but not necessarily like going crazy on things. At least in my youth, they would only splurge on any interests I have, any like lessons, and like I had Kumon, I had art class, I had piano, I had taekwondo, I had soccer camps, I don't remember, but I also had dance, and then they'd buy me art supplies, even though sometimes I would touch it once and never touch it again. But when it comes to like clothes, when it comes to toys, they're like and that is how I was actually able to develop so many skills. I think being able to explore my interests and everything, and I think it's a really good method. If I have kids, I'm gonna make sure that they do every single interest that they have, because it's always best to expand your skills, but I think it's also really good to hone in on one skill. But only recently, even like this summer was like I think the first time that I feel like I was able to clear out and revamp my wardrobe and wear the things that I actually want to wear, that I feel like are me. And I'm sort of like going through the phase of like figuring out my style, and my self-expression in the physical sense, if that makes sense. Like I've been working on makeup, hair, clothing, like that stuff, and also just my physical space, making sure it's very simple and helps me work towards my goals without being too cluttered with everything, because you can have all the things in the world, but you're still not gonna have time to do everything. So choose one thing, work on it at a time before moving on to the next thing. But yeah, be grateful. I'm grateful for my parents. I'm grateful for my childhood. I know it's definitely not a perfect one, but no one has a perfect childhood. You might think they do, but they don't. There's always things hidden behind the scenes. The perfect life that you see online is lies. Even these videos, there are 30 minutes in my day. You don't know what the other 23 and a half hours of my day look like unless I tell you. And even then, I could lie. I woke up at 6 and I go to sleep every day at 10 p.m. And I have a skinny tea body. Like, I can say that. And we know I'm working on it. And like my friends know my sleep schedule is far from what I would like it to be. But yeah. And also part of this, as much as I hate to say it, money. You need money. You need to be able to manage your money so that you're able to, meet the first needs in the hierarchy of needs. Because if you don't have food, who cares if you're pretty, if you're gonna if you're gonna get sick and suffer, right? Like, would you rather be ugly and live a long, average, healthy life? Or be average, just you don't have to be ugly, you can be average and live an average lifespan, very average life, good, happy family, whatever, ups and downs. Or would you rather be extremely pretty and have an issue, have some chronic issue that only lets you live until 25, right? But guess what? You, right now, can change that, because you don't have to spend money on looking a certain way or whatever until you're able to, well, you can obviously do it together. This is just my suggestion, but don't focus too much on looks until you've set a basis for yourself in success in other senses and your understanding of yourself. At this point, I don't know what I'm talking about. I feel like my thoughts are going this way, that way, this way, that way. So maybe if you know what I'm talking about, you can let me know in the comments. But definitely don't be silly with your money like me. I think my family makes up for my lack of financial budgeting. But I'm working on it. I'm the only one in my family that's actually going into business, so I should actually learn more and be better at the management aspect, but we will get on that. And I will update you guys on every step of the journey. We are going to get so financially literate together, and we're gonna be so happy, guys. I'd rather, wouldn't you rather have average happy most of the time than horrible downs for one really high up, right? I remember seeing online, you don't want your life to go boom, 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 boom. That is a very, very draining life. You know how much it takes to go from here all the way down, all the way back up? To go all the way back up, that's so much effort, right? Versus. That was a bit ugly. I apologize. But you see this, very smooth. There's not that much happiness, but you're not wallowing in despair. And to be honest, I truly believe you just have to distract yourself. You just have to distract yourself from your thoughts sometimes. A lot of the times, I sit there, I'm so happy, and I'm just like, wait, why am I even happy about this? In the end, we're all gonna die. Which is true, but doesn't mean you can't be happy while living, right? It's a bit cynical. Those thoughts were happening when I was going through this. It's horrible. My life now, at least as of recent, maybe for the past month-ish, has been around here. I've had a few spikes and lows, but it's definitely a lot more manageable and everything. And what can I say? what can I say except you're welcome for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if I can improve anything, and I will see you guys in the next video. That was an amazing way to exit, wasn't it? Okay, bye.